Hi, boys and girls. Today is Wednesday, October 14th, and today we are going to be focusing on estimating sums and differences. So, all of our rounding rules are going to come back today to guide us through this lesson. So here is our Google Classroom assignment, post it for Wednesday. It says, yesterday we learned about the 3 properties of addition. Can you remember what they are and how we remember them? And you're going to add your thoughts on our Padlet. The link is below right there. So you can add your thoughts there. And then it talks about how today we're going to be learning how to estimate sums and differences. And it is really easy, guys. All you have to remember is round first, then add or subtract. So right now we're going to learn a chant. This chant is going to stick in your mind, hopefully forever, because this is something you always will need to remember. You always want to round first, then add, round first, then subtract, round first, then add, round first, then subtract. We're going to be doing a lot of that chant today, boys and girls. You can also take a look at what you're going to do after our lesson, after I talk today. You are going to be working on workbook page 55. You're going to be finishing that, taking a picture of it, and attaching it to your Google Classroom assignment today. You are also going to be doing a quick check on Savvis Realize. It's 5 questions. Please use scrap paper and go slow. And finally, you're going to be working on your extra practice packet or your $1 million project. Tonight's homework is to do 1 page in your extra practice packet. All right, guys. So I'm going to share my screen with you. I have out here my home learning folder. That's what you're going to need in order to take notes for today. You are going to open it up and you are going to pull out the purple pages. Once you have the purple pages pulled out, I want you to find a page that looks like this. It says estimate written in like my handwriting up at the top. So this is the one you're going to need. Everything else can go back in your folder. This is the only paper that we're actually going to be using today. All right. So I'm going to grab my math notebook. I'm going to open up to the next blank page in my notebook. And I want to glue this purple page down. Now, if you have a notebook that's big enough, you may be able to just put it in there. If you don't, you may have to do a little trimming. I'm going to trim off the name. I think I'm going to trim on the inside of this black line just to make it a little bit cleaner. All right. And now I'm going to glue that down. If I can find my glue stick. Alrighty. Gluing this baby down. Make sure you're pressing so it doesn't ever come back up. All right. So estimating sums and differences is actually really easy. I love this lesson because you're just rounding and then you're going to add or subtract. That's it. There's no secrets to it. But the rounding part is the part that most kids have trouble with. And remembering that you need to round first. Remember, round first, then add, round first, then subtract, round first, then add, round first, then subtract. That's our chant, and you have to know it. So I am going to write that really big on the top of my paper, just to remind myself that I need to round first. Really, really important to round first. Then I add or subtract. Okay, in that order. It has to be in that order. You can't just solve the problem and then round your answer. It's not the same thing. Round first, then add. Round first, then subtract. All right, so let's do it. I am going to ask you to solve this problem. The first thing we want to do is notice that it's an addition problem, right? This is addition, and then our last one is subtraction. Okay, don't get caught up in the mistake of subtracting when you're supposed to add or adding when you're supposed to subtract, right? Always watch your signs. The next thing you want to do is ask yourself, well, what place do they want me to round to? Now, they don't tell us, do they? So the cool thing is when they don't tell you, you just go to the very largest place value and round to that one. It's just easier. So 3 is going to be my target digit, and I'm going to look to the right, and it's a 2. I'm going to say my poem. 4 or less, let it rest. 5 or more, add 1 more. So since it's less than 4, right, 4 or less, I am going to let that 3 rest. So that 3 just stays the same, and everything else after the 3 turns to a 0. So my answer is 30,000. Then I'm going to round my other number. So I'm going to look to the right. It's a 1. So I'm going to let my 2 rest, and everything else turns to 0. Now I'm going to add these 2 together, right? This is addition, so I want to make sure I'm adding. 0 plus 0 is 0, 0 plus 0 is 0, 0 plus 0 is 0. Bring down my comma. 0 plus 0 is 0, 3 plus 2 is 5. Making my final answer, 50,000. And like a good student, I am always going to remember to circle my answer. All right, let's do another one. Let's do this problem right here. Remember, round first, then add, round first, then subtract. So I am going to look at my 1, 4 or less, let it rest. My 4 will rest, it'll stay the same. Everything else after it will turn into a 0. Let's take a look at my next number, 33,652. I'm going to draw an arrow to the right. It's a 3, so my 3 in the 10,000s place stays the same, and everything else becomes a 0. A lot of rounding down today. I take a look at my sign. It's an addition sign, so I want to put an addition sign in my estimate as well. And now I'm going to add. 4, 5, 6, 7. My answer is 70,000, and I'm going to remember to circle my answer. All right, and my last problem, this happens to be a subtraction problem. Round first, then add, round first, then subtract. All right, let's do it. Oh, I forgot my little arrow up here. Oh, I forgot my arrow up here too. Let's see, that was in blue. Okay, so 93,783 rounded to the nearest 10,000. 3, it's a 4 or less, let it rest. So my 9 stays the same, and everything else becomes a 0. And I'm going to look at my next number and round that first. Oh, finally. 5 or more, add 1 more. So my 6, my target digit 6, changes to a 7, and everything else becomes a 0. That was the first time I had to round up. Remember, we're not adding. This is a subtraction problem, so we're going to add that subtraction sign, draw our line, and now it's time to subtract. 0 minus 0 is 0. 0 minus 0 is 0. 0, comma. 0 minus 0 is 0. 9 minus 7 is 2. And I'm going to circle my answer. That's it, guys. This is estimating sums and differences. So your page should look exactly like mine, or not exactly, but as close to possible, right? We want to try to be using different colors, or maybe using highlighters or in some way to circle our answers. If you're using pencil, that's fine too. You should have round first written at the top of your paper, just like me. All right, so next we're going to do some practicing. I'm going to keep my notebook out because I want to have it to refer to. And you're going to go, please, and grab your math workbook. We are going to be doing page 55. What page? 55. And when I look at page 55, I notice that I need like a really sharp pencil. So if your pencil is not very sharp, you might want to go and sharpen it at this point, because look at these little tiny areas that they want me to write in, right? And we have to round first and then add or subtract. So we're going to be writing really tiny. Another thing that you could do if you wanted to is you could write these problems on a separate piece of paper. You're always welcome to do that. All right, I am going to cross off the top because we're going to just start by working at the bottom. Okay, this page is something that you do have to finish. So we're not going to do every problem together right now, but you will be finishing it after the video ends and taking a picture and uploading it to Google Classroom. I noticed for the first three, they are giving us like a little help here with these little boxes, and then the rest were on our own. So 5,323, round it to the nearest thousand, right? If I go do my arrow, 5, 4 or less, let it rest. The 5 just stays the same. So I'm putting a 5 in that first box. For my next number, I'm looking to the right and it's a 6, which means that I add 1 to my target digit. So my 2 becomes a 3. And now I can add, right? We start in our ones and we do our zeros first. And then 5 plus 3 is 8, making our final answer 8,000. And don't forget to circle it. For number 10, same thing. We're looking to the right. It's a 4. 4 or less, let it rest. So my 5 stays the same, and everything else after it becomes a 0. For my next number, I have 27,398. I'm looking to the right. It's a 7. So that means that my 2 is going to get 1 added to it, making it a 3. Everything after becomes a 0. Now it's time to do the math. I've noticed that I'm subtracting. Get that in your head, Mrs. Atkinson. Subtract, subtract, subtract. All right, 0 minus 0 is 0. 0 minus 0 is 0. Da, 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 da. Put that comma in there. 0 minus 3, can I do it? No, right? I can't do 0 minus 3. So I have to go to my 5, make it a 4, bring the 1 over, right? And stand it in front of my 0. Now I can have 10, right? So now 10 minus 3, can I do that now? I sure can. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That would be 7. And I have 4 minus nothing is going to be 4, making my final answer 470,000. Let's do another. Actually, I'm going to save that one. Let's do one that doesn't have any helps at all. So the first thing I want to do is make my little arrows. I'm going to always round to the greatest place value because they don't tell me otherwise. So 4,000 would be this first one. And then 98 would actually round to 100, right? Because I'm adding 1 more to the 9. So that would be 100. I notice that I'm adding, right? And now I'm just adding these numbers, and I should get 4,100. And I'm going to circle my answer. Okay, let's do one more. Make my little arrows. Look to the right. It's a 3, so my 7 stays the same. I make sure that everything else turns into a 0. For my second number, I'm looking to the right. It's a 7, so I have to add 1 more to my 3, and everything else becomes a 0. Looks like I'm adding, so I want to put my addition sign, draw my line, and now I'm adding away. 7, 8, 9, 10. Ooh, look at this, 1 million. Remember that I want to see the commas where they should be. All right, guys, that's all for today. Your job from here is to finish page 55, do the quick check on Savvis Realize, then homework tonight is to work in your yellow packet, and if you have time today, work on your $1 million project. See you tomorrow, everyone. Oh my goodness.